So, you ready to go?
I am ready.
Ready as it will ever be. Welcome, everyone, to Manifesting with Meg, Conversations with Extraordinary People. And tonight is episode 146. Something wonderful is about to happen. And how could it not? Because I have special guest Kevin Creegan here today. And we are celebrating the last day of Pride, where he is certainly dressed for the occasion.
This old thing.
That wonderful thing. We are in the themed year, Stay Enjoy, Kevin.
Stay Enjoy. It's a good year. It's a really good year to try our best to fulfill that motto. Let's just leave it at that.
I feel like it's a vote for joy is a vote for the world that we all wish we could live in. So I'm going to go with that.
Right. Or as they say on one of my favorite news shows, Earth 1.
Oh my God.
Versus what a lot of other people are living on Earth 2.
Okay. So we're going back to Earth 1.
We're staying on Earth 1.
We're staying on Earth 1. Oh, please, let's stay on Earth 1.
Yes.
So as you all know, we're always a conversation away from extraordinary. And with Kevin, we have even dazzling extraordinary today. We're always waking up to possibility. And on this Earth 1, we always get intentional. So Kevin, get intentional with me as I introduce you.
Okay, I am full of intentions.
Is there ever like something that you do before you get ready for a show? Like you have a ritual? Because you're a superstar now.
Well, yes, of course. I mean, and it comes from, one of our favorite movies ever. It's Tits Up, Shoulders Back. It's showtime.
I love it. I love it. Oh, you know it. And I think
and
that...
do you know what movie that is from?
Well, I always say, I thought it was Mrs. Maisel, but I don't know. I could be off.
Yeah, it's from way before that. It's from Flashdance.
Oh, hey.
Yes.
It is one of my faves. You're right.
Yes, me too.
It is absolutely one of my faves. And I've always wanted to do that scene where you pull the water down on the chair, but
Yes, I thought you were going to say the lobster scene, but that's...
Okay, I got to go back and look at the notes. I'm a little scared.
Oh, you're going to have to, when we get off the phone, Google Flashdance lobster scene.
I will definitely do that. Oh my goodness.
I've already seen the movie 100 times. So
it's something dazzling to me.
Dazzling. Bedazzle, you know what? Don't just bedazzle your clothing. Bedazzle your life.
Ooh. Well, you always say, create yourself a beautiful, dazzling day, right?
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
awesome. Take an active part. Don't just have a beautiful day. Create yourself a beautiful day.
And that's perfect. That's perfect for Manifesting with Meg, as I get to introduce Kevin Creegan, who is the 1990 United States National Aerobics Champion.
Who?
Yes, you. 1991 World Aerobics Champion.
Yes,
currently trending hard on Instagram. So
crazily trending hard on Insta. It's insane.
You are my co-host of our show From A to Z on Beeatches Breakin It Down.
That's
about
right.
to be uploaded on the Meg Nocero Network on YouTube. So I say check that out.
But
most of all, you are one hell of a human being, Kevin.
Well, thank you.
You're so welcome. Welcome.
So are you. You're one of my favorite human beings.
Oh my God, it's a mutual admiration society here tonight, which it couldn't be better on this day. Something wonderful is about to happen.
Last day of Pride.
Last day of Pride. So I want to go and have you tell everybody what the heck is Pride anyway?
Okay, so I did do a little, I knew the general je ne sais quoi of Pride, but so I knew it had something to do with the Stonewall riot. So anyway, Stonewall was pretty much a dive bar in the Village of New York that was subject to pretty frequent raids, and the police used an obscure, there was a law on the book, and this part I didn't know. There was a law on the books at the time that a man or a woman needed to have X number of garments that identified them as either a man or a woman, or it was against the law.
Oh, wow.
So that's how the cops kept going in there, because obviously there were, gender fluid people and women dressed as men and men dressed as women, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how they were able to arrest people at this bar, because they had this weird law on the books about, how many articles of clothing, men's clothing, you had to have on. I mean, who took the time to write that? Anyway, so on this particular night, it was the 29th of June, and apparently Judy Garland had just died, and she was laying in state somewhere else in the city. And the people that were there, I guess they were having kind of like a memorial kind of a thing at this bar for Judy Garland. And they just said enough is enough, and they fought back. So that was in 1969. The first official Pride event was in 1970. But it obviously took years. And then Bill Clinton was the first president to publicly recognize June as Pride Month.
Wow, it took until Clinton in the 90s. Wow, that took a lot of time.
Yeah.
And the 29th, is that why they usually do the parades on the 29th then?
Yeah, I think so. I think they tried to, just, because that was, I guess that was the day that it actually, the Stonewall riot, went down. So, yeah, it's really, it really, I mean, I knew the general, but I didn't know a lot of the specifics of what actually, and there was an activist whose name, I can't remember, who was an ally that was at the Stonewall that evening when, when they got busted. So it's really interesting. I guess the first official event was in 70, 80, wow. 90, 2030, like 50 years or so, 40, 50 years.
Wow.
But it wasn't June as Pride Month wasn't recognized. I guess Bill Clinton was the first one to officially recognize the month of June. I don't know when, I'm sure it was like ACT UP and PFLAG. I didn't look into it, but I'm sure it was a lot of the, back in the 80s and whatever, 70s, 80s, of a lot of the AIDS organizations, I'm sure,
right,
were probably behind. I'm just guessing, but we're probably behind, the pushing of it. And too, for those people who don't really understand the need for gay pride, growing up in the 60s and 70s as a Catholic kid, and only seeing images of, heterosexual everything, and just being taught from a really young age that the feelings that I had were wrong and evil and sinful. So pride is not, I mean, I've seen a lot of back and forth about this. Pride is not about grooming or recruiting young people. It is about letting young gay, because I didn't know at the time, I didn't have the vocabulary for it. But in retrospect, I was in like second grade, I was gay. I mean, I knew I was gay.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know I was gay, but I knew, you know what I'm saying? Looking back, I was like, oh yeah, that's why I did this, this, and this. So pride is about keeping young gay people alive, really, basically. That's really the bottom line of it.
Yeah.
We're not trying to recruit. We don't get a blender if we get, if we transfer 4 straight men to gay men, we don't win a Cuisinart or anything. Pride is about the fact that for most of us, most of our life, every image and everything everywhere was telling us that who we are and what we felt was wrong.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, certainly with regard to this year.
Yeah.
Without like opening up a whole can of worms. Yes. This year. I think it's really important to show up authentically yourself.
Yeah, I do too.
I think it's actually the most beautiful thing you can do for the world is to be truly who you are.
Yes.
And the expression of that, as we were talking before, create yourself a beautiful day.
Yeah.
But be that creation that you're here to be that beauty that you're here to share with others.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I think in many ways, the beauty of this celebration of this month and all year long, and how proud we all should be of the person we show up to be, is really something that I hope, is future oriented. Like we continue in this path, which really gets me worried. But I think at the same time, that something wonderful is about to happen. I think we're all kind of realizing that the more we are ourselves, the better it is for the world at large.
Right.
Certainly it becomes that place of good. So I'm going to ask you specifically, what is your guiding focus this year?
My guiding focus is, what has become, to a certain political party, a 3-letter, 4-letter word. I'm all about diversity, equity, and inclusion, about having a diverse group of friends, of making sure, or trying my best to be equitable and treat them all equally and include as many people as I can. How that has been twisted into something that is negative, it's like that, and the whole negative pall that's been cast upon being woke. I mean, since when is being caring and understanding and wanting to understand what it's like from other people's perspective, why is that bad? It's kind of, I always hearken back to, the old bastardized Shakespeare quote of "Thou dost protest too much."
Oh, yeah.
It's like, why does it bother you so much? Why, you turn on the TV and, just the way that every accusation that is made by a certain group of people is a confession. It's like you constantly see in the news, this, that, and the other person has been, arrested for this, that, and the other, it's just, I don't know.
I resonate around the whole idea of positive psychology. So we flip the switch, we flip the script, right?
Yeah.
So people looking for the other rather than welcoming the all, right?
Right.
We're all interconnected in this world, and if we hurt someone, then we're hurting ourselves. So at the end of any conversation that we have, to truly really extend ourselves to make people feel like they're part of a conversation as well. And I think that, certainly you've always been very much like that. And I think that, coming back to the topic for today, for our theme, I think that when you're kind to yourself, you're more likely to be kind to others. So for instance, right? Like I find that when people are hurting, they want to hurt others. So I love the idea that there's beauty in this world if you start to speak words of beauty, right? If you start to look for things of beauty. And I think that, you and I both resonate around the world of the theatrical, right? We love musical theater. We love I know, shocking, right? We love the arts. We love, come on. How could life be without the arts in it?
Right.
I don't even want to know. Right?
No, I don't either. I don't want that. No, I don't want that world. That's a parallel universe I choose not to interact with.
But even though we're talking about words, you always say, create yourself a beautiful day. And when we did our show together on Instagram for quite some time, Kevin, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
We would take 3 words that associated to the alphabet, 3 A's, and then we would both go over 3 B's. And then we would have Hummington Hummer Award at the end. We would honor somebody in each episode that would be a mentor, someone we would look up to, someone who did something good for the world, right? and we shone a light in that. Well, today I get to shine the light on you, which is more fun. And, because at the same time, how you show up in the world with all that you do is really wonderfully artistic and wonderfully creative and wonderfully just being authentically you. And one of my favorite things about you is that not only are you a world champion in the world of, aerobics, because that's how we met. You are my trainer. You also are a horticulturist, right? You use big words, and you show up in ways that encourage others to be better, and you do that for a living. You're there to help encourage others to be better in their life. So
right.
I want to share with everybody, because we're talking about you and your dazzling, this is you when you were how old, Kevin? It was a picture of you and your aerobics.
I was 28 when we were competing, 28 and 29.
Wow. And when you were 28 or 29, did you think that you would be able to achieve the highest echelon in aerobics in World Aerobic Championships?
I had a pretty yeah, I mean, it was tunnel vision. I mean, we put everything. I moved from Dallas to Minneapolis to train with her. I mean, we put everything, all of our eggs into that basket. And we spent as much time physically practicing and rehearsing as we did mentally. We both had a little thing on our rearview mirrors of our car that said, "I will be the 1990 Reebok National Aerobic Champion," and then the next time it was, "I will be the 1991 World Aerobic Champion." Mm-hmm. So it was like something that, it's like, we manifested it into existence. And, not to say that other people who have dreams and aspirations and worked really, really hard for them and don't necessarily reach what they were aiming to reach, they still garner so much from the experience of trying to do that. We just, yes, there was a lot of skill and perseverance, but there's also an element of luck. We just happened to be what those judges liked that year,
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, we did put a lot of work in it, but there is also the element of kismet and serendipity, involved in a lot of things in life,
So this is also a picture of you guys jumping, which is amazing. This is you and your jumping. Like, you had such incredible yes you had such incredible athleticism and skill at the time. I think it has to do with more than just kismet or luck. Tell me, with regard to this, I mean, how long ago was this now? This was also in
this was 1990. So what, 35 years ago now?
35 years. And then tell me, like, at the end of the day, like, I always talk about this psychological component called flow. Did you feel when you were like getting that trophy and standing up there in front of everybody that, this was truly going to happen? You knew it. Like, you knew it.
Yeah. We really, really did. We really, we believed with pretty much every fiber of our being that we were going to win that year. I mean, we just, one of our other sayings too was, "See it, believe it, make it happen."
Wow.
So seeing it, you first got to visualize it, and then you've got to believe. You've got to have enough faith in yourself. But there's also, faith without works is dead. So having faith and having belief, you can't surreptitiously just achieve. You have to then follow that through with the work and dedication that it took. So to make it, see it, believe it, and make it happen. That's where the work and dedication, and that's true of anybody that's successful at anything. It's like an artist, a sculptor, anything, a writer.
I want to go back to the actual quote for today, which is specifically "Something wonderful is about to happen" by Matthew Kelly. He's an Australian motivational speaker. And one of the things that I write about in the insight is that make a Post-it note to remind yourself that something wonderful is about to happen. And you guys literally wrote a note as to who you believed that you were going to become.
Right.
So I have a question. Did you believe you were going to go viral on Instagram with Blake and McGrath? Okay.
You know, that is so bizarre. It really, really is, you know. So it was, the National Aerobic Championship has an account, and they posted a lot of different people's routines on their Instagram account. And I don't know how algorithms work. I don't know what the secret sauce of it was, but you know, for some reason, our routine just captured, you know, it was very niche. You know, we were very like typically 80s/90s. It was 1990, so it was right there on the cusp of the 80s and the 90s. You know, it was very, you know, it just kind of encapsulated all of that whole era, you know, the Richard Simmons phenomenon and the aerobics phenomenon. And, you know, I mean, I don't think people that don't know, they don't realize how freaking incredibly popular aerobics was at that time. Like the number of classes and, you know, the number of people that were doing aerobics. So, you know, for it to go as viral as it did, I mean, I would just laugh. I mean, it just, every day I would get notifications, and I literally finally had to turn my Instagram notifications off because it was like every single day, you know, the numbers kept growing. And, you know, for the most part too, I mean, of course you're going to have whatever, but, you know, for the most part, people were really encouraging and really cool with their comments. Like, where are they now? Why don't we bring this back? Why did they stop doing this? And, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's really, it's insane. And then for that guy who has a million, he was I forget his name. I'm sorry, I should have written it down.
It's Blake and McGrath. I have the little picture of them doing it underneath your picture with your partner.
You know, this guy was on So You Think You Can Dance. His videos, I mean, he's got a couple of videos with 10 million views or 100 million views, I think. I don't know. But I mean, for him to like,
I love that,
come around and see this video and talk, and, you know, talk to his husband and be like, okay, we're going to do this. And they pretty well, I mean, they did it. They did it. They really, I mean, they pretty much had the choreography down. And it was so cute too, because I commented and he commented back to me, which I thought was so cool.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I mean, that's like the ultimate, you know, the ultimate parody. I choose to look at it as the ultimate compliment, you know.
Oh my God, it's absolutely, and that routine that you did was intense. I mean, you were on, both were like doing sit-ups on each other. It's like crazy.
But yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was a cultural phenomenon, aerobics.
It really was. I mean, it was you know, again, at that time, it was, we were guests on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson as the host. We were guests on the Joan Rivers show. I mean, I got to literally travel the world through that too. So really, it was a pretty incredible time.
Love it, because when you were telling me that you were going viral, I was like so excited. It's like, oh my God, you know, honestly, at the end of the day, you know, these are the little things, the small moments in life that are really the big ones that will get you excited, and like people noticing that something that you did was absolutely amazing at the one point in time. Yeah. But you still are doing amazing things now. So first of all, to tell us what you're doing now today, and also I would love for you to tell us how these inspirational quotes impact your life. And I'm going to go ahead and read them to you, and then you tell me. But go ahead, tell us now, what are you doing with your life now?
Okay, so what I am doing with my life now is I am a chef. I am the quote unquote executive chef at a men's residential long-term drug and alcohol treatment facility. Currently we have 80 men. They all commit, they don't all make it a year, but they all commit to staying for a year. We have, I don't even know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 houses. We feed them. They get breakfast and dinner every day. I'm in charge of cooking dinner Monday through Friday, and then we have, other people that cook breakfast and the weekends, and then I do all of the ordering. So, it's really it's a complete like 180, kind of giving back to a facility that I had gone through myself personally during a really, really hard time of my life. I mean, overcoming alcohol and drug addictions is, you see it on the news. You see the number of people, that die on a daily basis from this horrible disease, and the stigma that is, it's slowly changing. I mean, people have now realized that it's not immoral. It's not, that we lack willpower. It's a disease. There's something different in our chemistry that when we put drugs or alcohol in our body, we react differently than people that are not alcoholic. So
I want, to your point, I find it very interesting that in this moment in time, we have the mental wellness checks on people, right? It's becoming more a part of our vernacular, of our conversation, as to checking in on people. It's if you ask for help, it's seen as a strength, not a weakness.
Right. Which is a huge turnaround.
And
especially for men too,
That's for sure. And I think there's that permission to be human component, that when we allow ourselves to show up, not in perfection, but works in progress,
right,
then we can start to heal from whatever, challenges that we have in front of us. So you chose these inspirational quotes, which are amazing. I'm going to go ahead and read them. The first one is Bruce Springsteen: "The best music, you can seek some shelter in it momentarily, but it's essentially there to provide you something to face the world with." Tell me about this. Is great. Music's my jam, so go ahead.
Music is my jam too, and I'm from New Jersey, and my high school yearbook quote was a quote from a Bruce Springsteen song. It's a very obscure song. Unless you're a hardcore Bruce Springsteen fan, you don't know the song. It's called New York City Serenade. I recommend you listen to it. But there's a quote and there's a line in there that says, "Walk tall, baby, or walk tall, or baby, don't walk at all." And, I kind of adapted that as, and that kind of encompasses, what we've been talking about, of being your authentic self and embracing who you are. Walk tall, no matter who you are, no matter how I just got goosebumps, no matter who you are, be proud of it. Don't hide under, your glory and your greatness. And, no matter what your religious or not religious or spiritual leanings are, we are all creatures and creations of something beautiful. And, there's only one of each and every one of us. So be proud of that. Walk tall.
I love that. I think also I could never think of you without thinking of music, because you are the musical dynamo. And yes, we got a wonderful episode, Kevin. That's wonderful. Thank you, Shuvo. Second quote is even more inspirational.
Yeah.
When you decide that Black history is not a part of American history, or when you decide that any book that talks about LGBTQIA relationships or LGBTQIA people, because you don't understand them, should just be deleted. Well, the reality is you can't not delete people. You cannot delete a people. Jasmine Crockett. This is so important. You can't delete people.
Right.
Go for it.
And that says it all. It's like, the whole trend of trying, the saying of coming out of the closet, it's like, and that doesn't just necessarily mean gay people. It means everybody. Come out of your closet, be who you are.
Yeah.
you no matter what the others and whoever the others are, and I think those numbers are being shown for their true validity, as as was demonstrated on King's Day, no King's Day versus a certain parade, the numbers. You can't just because it makes you uncomfortable, you can't.
I love that.
Yes. You can't not acknowledge it. I mean, our history is a rich and often troubling history, but it is our history. And we're never going to grow as a nation or as a people if we try to all of a sudden pretend that, because it's going to hurt somebody's feelings or make somebody feel guilty for being a certain whatever, you can't erase the past.
What you just said is really important. And I think instead of getting judgmental, get curious. And I think that, a lot of ways that we can get curious is to understand each other's stories.
Yeah.
And I think when you start to get into the weeds with questions as to, tell me a little bit more about yourself so that I don't feel like you're a stranger or strange. I feel like more invited into the campfire talks. You know what I mean?
Right. And
I think that there's something very powerful in that. And I think that we can all change for the better with that. So intentional, set our intentions at the outset. I have always enjoyed just being in conversation with you. You always bring such joie de vivre, right? You always do that. But I'm asking you tonight, what is your intention for this moment? This 6 months in, we're 6 months in to this 2025 year. What is your intention for the rest of the year?
My intention is to try to be a light into the darkness, and try, no matter how hard it can be sometimes, to be a light, be a hand, be just kind of a living example of what is possible.
Okay.
What is possible. I mean, when I was struggling with my alcoholism, what really made me turn was that, again, back to whatever your higher power is. And I'm sure this is true for many, many people. I'm not unique in this, but there have been so many times in my life that I should have died. And the fact that I didn't made me realize that whatever my purpose is, I haven't accomplished. I haven't finished. I've not finished my job on this planet yet. So
you're still here.
I'm still here. I'm still here, and I'm still going to, and I'm not perfect. I stumble just like everybody else. I have my moments of despair and despondency, but I work through it, and I realize that this is just a passing phase. We will get through this. We as a collective, and like Kamala Harris loves to say, we have more in common than what we have separating us.
Yeah.
We have, as human beings, we have so much more in common than we have differences. And all of this fighting over my God is better than your God. It's just, whatever your God is, that's not what my God wants for us.
Yeah.
It's just,
so what would be the number that you chose in the Magical Guide to Bliss tonight?
Oh, well, I mean, of course you're going to, if your ESPN is working, you should know me well enough to know what number I'm going to pick.
It's got to be 69.
Ah, you see, you do know me.
So
you do know me.
Oh, so very well, Kevin. Oh, so very well. Oh my God, I've known you since Michael Motorcycle was in
right. Oh my God,
that's a long time. Well, 69 is set the example, And the actual quote is, "It is difficult to bring people to goodness with lessons, but it's easy to do so by example." That's Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher. Wow, that's quite on point, if you ask me.
It really is. It's serendipitous with everything we've been talking about. Yes.
Well, they say actions have always spoken louder than words, and you can choose to either be a person who talks about change or a person who lives it.
Right.
I find it very important in my wonderful year of staying in joy that when my focus gets off the beaten path into the anger, I'm not joyful. So clearly I can't help anyone. But when I go back to that focus, that wonderful place of joy, then I can do something. I can be the change. And I keep reminding myself to your point, you said you want to be light in the darkness. Yeah, let myself be the light. Let yourself be the light. It matters. It matters to the people that you serve on a daily basis. And it matters to those people who may be lost in the dark so that there's hope, like you said. So I a lot of people don't believe in manifesting. You and I do. We are always manifesting something, always something good. And certainly manifesting for me matches the extraordinary of life. It just goes hand in hand, because when we start to believe, and like you said, the possible from the impossible, something really magical happens. So let me ask you, what has made the biggest difference in your life to effectuate these manifestations that have come to light for you?
Just being aware of the interconnectivity of all of us, and also the fact that there are, there really, I believe this, that there really are no coincidences. That everything, even, things that don't always seem good, have a way of working out. We've talked about this before. One of my favorite series of books is Conversations with God. And, he talks about that kind of stuff too in there. And, just being aware that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience.
Can you believe that? Like, if I really think about that, if you really believe what you just said, there's just this wonderful spiritual you just walking around in a meat suit.
Right.
It just happens to be what you put on while you're on this earth one, right? I find that miraculous in so many ways. It's just one way to actually experience the world. And in this particular iteration of Meg and that of Kevin, we get to experience what we get to experience, so that maybe the light we bring to that will be the change that makes a difference. So, oh my God. So there's messages in life. And I think that, on this wonderful day, we like to play with maybe something that you might want to share with somebody out there who is listening, who may be sitting where you were at one point in time.
Just sometimes all you can do is take one more breath or take one more step, and then take another step and take another breath, and just, keep going. Just keep going. Don't let despair win. Light is always going to dispel darkness. Darkness can never envelop light and shut it out. So always hold on to that light, no matter how dim or how distant that light may seem to be. Always seek that light.
Oh my God. I do think that Pride is a celebration, because while it was just recognized in the Clinton administration, it's been around forever. And the fact that you're proud of being who you are, how you show up, and how you represent and how you learn this world is just such a, like I said, a gift to the world. In this next 6 months that we're all going to be living through, the first were quite much, I will say. But I think that, how do we keep our heads clear? How do we inspire ourselves to keep waking up in the morning?
I think first and foremost, give yourself permission to not be okay with everything that's going on. That's, I mean, I think that's perfectly normal and natural. So give yourself permission to grieve and to be mad and to be angry, but then don't dwell in that. Don't dwell in the in the mire. Dwell in the joy. Spend some time every day doing something, even if it's just for a couple of minutes, doing something that brings you joy. I mean, I spend an hour or so every day in my garden watering my plants. I mean, I can turn the sprinkler on, but I feel much deeper connection walking around with the hose. And I mean, I talk to all of my plants and I tell them how pretty they are today, and that kind of thing. So spend time, self-care. We were talking about new trends, and the whole, you can't, unless you're taking care of yourself, you cannot take care of anybody else.
I want to leave with what we were talking about at the beginning. Every time you choose joy, you are voting for the world you believe in. And that is in and of itself something wonderful that will happen. Kevin, where can people find you? I want everyone to see that video first and foremost of your...
I think my Instagram is Kevin E. Creegan, at Kevin E. Creegan. I'm pretty sure that's my Insta handle.
So he's on the Insta handle, everybody. And
I'm on the Insta handle. Or Facebook. I mean, I don't think any of my settings are private. So,
yeah. Look, if anyone wants to reach out to you and they're having like their own internal existential crisis, is that a possibility as well?
Yes, totally. My email is kcreegan62@gmail.com.
Okay. So everybody, I am so happy to share this beauty with the world. I will, of course, ask as we embrace the last day of joy in the month of June. Can you sing us out, Kevin?
Of course. What should we do?
I always put you on the spot, don't I? But I
mean, I could do my old standard. There's no business like show business, like no business I know.
Love it. That there is no business like show business.
Or I could sing my new little ditty that I haven't quite finished yet, that I started writing for Pride.
Ooh.
You ready?
Yeah.
Your son will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow he'll be gay.
Oh my God, that's great. Oh my God, Kevin, I love you. I adore you. You are one of the most magical people. And I just want to say that any day now, I will be showing on YouTube the whole series of Butterfly Beeatches again.
Yay!
So you can go check it out there from A to Z.
Did we do the whole alphabet?
We did the whole.
I think we did the whole alphabet.
Kevin, final word.
I love you. I love you all. And just give yourself a break. Okay. Give yourself a break. I mean, I'm a perfectionist and I have to let stuff go sometimes. So let it go.
Yes, girl. Let it go. And I love you all too. And with that, have a wonderful rest of whatever you're doing today.
Whatever you're doing. Au revoir. That's how they say goodbye in French. Au revoir.
Bye all.
Bye. Love you.